Hey guys, what's up? I've got something a little new for you today. I wanted to do this for a long time with my good friend Bryan Helton here, who's been on our infomercial where he challenged three-time Mr. Universe John Hansen to a pec sculptor competition. There are a lot of people out there that are suffering, getting depressed, being cooped up inside all the time, not knowing what to do, feeling like there's no tomorrow, really kind of losing hope. So Bryan here is no stranger to being in difficult situations. He suffered spinal cord injury to his thoracic spine, which left him paralyzed from about the middle of the rib cage down. And we got him right here with us. Are you reading me okay, Bryan?
Oh yeah, you're coming through good here.
Good. How is the lockdown in North Carolina?
Oh, it's I think it's clearing up and getting back to normal. Everybody's starting to go about their summer. I think the sunshine and the heat's getting everybody out of their houses.
Yeah. We talked a few weeks ago, maybe it was about a month ago now, and you made a comment. You said the lockdown hadn't changed too much for you. And I think you kind of said it with a smile on your face there. You want to explain that a little bit?
Well, I think my favorite part of the whole thing is I stay at home 95% of the time. And now that everybody else is having to stay at home, my favorite part is nobody asks me to go anywhere. Yeah. So I get to hang out here and do my workouts and don't have to load up in the car and go everywhere when my friends ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you say that with a smile too, because you've had some obstacles thrown your way, and I'm hoping that you can share that with the listeners out there. Kind of talk to them about your injury and what you did to have to overcome it, because I think that whether you're dealing with the crisis with the virus, whether you're dealing with wanting to lose weight or something, we all encounter these physical barriers, being sick, being injured, and whatnot, but a lot of times, probably most of the time, it's what's on the inside, finding that inner strength to overcome what you're up against. So if you would, I'll step out of the way, and if you can take us back to about, I'd say about a week before your injury. I remember you shared with me that you and your wife had just had a discussion. You're going to want to start a family at that point. But take us back to that time. Tell us what you were doing, what work was like, what an average day was, and where you were at in life about that week before you got injured.
Sure. I actually priced the tree job where I got hurt. I actually priced it the day of our anniversary that year. So November 13th. I priced the job and scheduled it for the next week. And I worked at a state prison here in North Carolina. And then on my days off, me and my dad would cut some trees. He had done it for years, and he was 62. And so I didn't want to do it every day. He wasn't able to do it every day. And so I had the job at the prison. I'd been there about a year. And so anyway, me and Ashley had the discussion, that we would start not trying to have kids. So we would start trying. And we were going to go up to the Biltmore House up in Asheville in North Carolina. And then I told her, I said, that'll be our little anniversary trip. We'll just go and start trying to have kids. And so, one thing, I don't know that anybody survives going through a tree accident like I did, but I was working at the prison and I started working out real heavy. The guys in there are just so strong and super shape, and I was like, I'm gonna have my hands full if we have some trouble. And so I started working out a couple of weeks after I got hired there, and the week I got hurt, and I could bench press about 345 pounds. So I could knock out 500 push-ups in a night.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be sore the next day. I was in super shape.
Now, let me ask you something there. Obviously, working at the prison, you need to be in good shape. But were you, I think you were kind of a pretty physical guy outside of that. I mean, were you just training to be in shape, or did you enjoy being physical outside of that as well?
Well, I was super strong from just doing the trees.
Yeah.
Tree work's just really hard work. There's a lot of lifting, a lot of pulling. You don't get to check the number on the side of the weights. You just got to get the block of wood in the truck.
Yeah.
And so you just get used to working with heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but weight training is a lot different. There's a different type of stamina or work select muscles and stuff like that. So, but I had played sports growing up, basketball, baseball, and I'd run a lot. I used to love to run.
So you enjoyed being physical. I mean, that was something that was important to you.
Yeah, I thought about here in North Carolina, the Department of Corrections and the NC State Troopers are all in the same department or something like that. So it would have been, I would have had to go through the training, but it would have probably been easy for me to move over to the state trooper. I'd had my background check and things like that. A lot of it would have transferred over. So a lot of the troopers go in probably, 20, 25. It's pretty tough getting through their program. And so I was 30 that year. And I was like, I'm going to have my hands full. A couple of my friends had told me about it. They had went through it. And I was like, I'm going to have my hands full. I'm 30 years old. So I was kind of working toward that too.
Okay. Would you say that being that was kind of one of your defining things when someone said Bryan Helton, they would think, strong. That was kind of one of your defining characteristics. People would think that about you?
It was. I'd stayed in good shape, and, I'd done trees for a lot of people in the area. Yeah. And even when I got hurt, a lot of people called my phone. It's like, it's got to be a different Bryan Helton. There's no way that happened to him.
Yeah.
People have told me that since I got hurt.
So you were working at the prison, a very physical job, and you were no pushover yourself, from what you're telling me.
Right.
And then you had just now you owned your own property. I remember you related that to me in the past, right? You had just how long had you, because you were set up with land and you had a home on it and everything, and then that's kind of when you decided to, hey, now's the time we're going to start the family. Did I understand that right?
Sure. We owned a house in a development behind my dad. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember how long it was before, but I had bought a trailer on some family land years ago. Yeah. And I had rented it to somebody. And my grandparents sold me the land in front of that property. And so my renter had moved out, and I told Ashley, I said, let's sell this house and let's move back over there in the trailer and save some money and build us a house on that property. It's all kind of, life moves forward and you need a bigger place. And so that was kind of the plan, to get something more situated for a family.
So life was going according to plan. Things were sunshine and rainbows. And this was how long ago?
It was November 21st of 2014. So we're on, about 5.5 years now?
Yeah, about 5.5 years, yeah. Okay, so now take us back to that fateful day.
Yeah, so I remember, this will make more sense in a minute, but I remember getting up that morning. Ashley brought me some Bojangles. I left, headed out to work. We stopped on the way to that job and just dropped a couple trees for a friend of Daddy's, and we'd cut a lot of trees for him. He was an older gentleman, and we would drop the trees down, and he would cut them up and split his firewood and clean everything up. So we went by there and done that, and stopped at the end of that road and seen a friend of ours for a few minutes and talked to him. He was one of the old fire chiefs where my dad had retired from the fire department, so they were friends. Yeah. And we talked to him a minute, and I was like, well, we better get over to that job and get started. And I had a couple guys that helped us on the side, and I told them not to worry about coming in that day, that we would get everything on the ground that day, and then tomorrow we would go back and clean everything up. So I remember being on the phone with a friend of mine and talking a little bit on the way to the job. Got there, set everything up, and it was a big, huge yellow pine, probably 75, 80 feet tall. Our bucket truck would reach 55 feet. So I went up and took the limbs off the side. There was a chain link fence down below it. A few of the limbs was bigger that I couldn't handle, so we had run a rope through a poplar tree to the left, and we would swing those limbs away from the chain link fence, and my dad would lower them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got everything off the sides, and I got up. The tree forked. It had a huge fork in it like this over here to the right, and I could barely reach the fork where I needed to make the cut. And I was like, I had a guy that worked for me that loved to climb.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to get out and climb it today. I'll just let him climb it and drop the top out of it tomorrow, but I'm going to get this one fork here to the right off. And it's probably 10 or 11 inches in diameter, probably 20 foot long, probably weighed 2,500 pounds,
Yeah.
which wasn't really a problem because the rope we had was a 25,000 pound rope, so it could have handled that big tree top. Anyway, I've done it for years. My uncle taught chainsaw safety for the U.S. Forestry Service. My dad had cut trees for 40 years. My grandpa had taught some trees years ago. He didn't do it, for a work just around the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started running a chainsaw when I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, we were lowering the top back. I'd stretched out. I'd made my cut. I had my saw sitting on the side of the bucket, and I remember gripping the handle, and I was moving back slowly, and I remember looking to my right. I can still see it like it was, like fresh on my mind. And I was moving back, and I looked to my right, and the tree, the end of that top was brushing the neighbor's woods a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, oh no, they're going to be out here fussing at me because it breaks a twig out of one of their trees. And that's the last thing I remember.
So then everything's black?
Well, so best we can tell by what my dad has told me, he couldn't see everything though, so we don't know exactly. And he said that he looked up and the tree had kind of swung back and I was laying on top of it. Mm-hmm. And he thought that it had pulled me out of the bucket, and that I was holding on to it. And that's just what he thought. Well, he said he looked down because he was going to tie the rope off because he wasn't going to lower. He was wanting to know if I wanted him to lower me down, mm-hmm. or if I was going to try to climb back in the bucket. And so he said he looked down, but when he looked back up, I was just falling like a rag doll. So I fell 55 feet and hit the truck. He don't remember seeing, probably he blacked it out. He don't remember seeing me hit the truck. Whether he looked away, whether his mind just blocks it out. I mean, it's been really hard on him too.
Yeah.
And so he said, hit the ground. He was a retired fireman. He had EMT training. Mm-hmm. And as he was walking down there to me, he's just like, he's dead. So he gets down there to me, and I had hit a rail on the truck that you use to climb up, boot print in the side of the truck, fell right beside the outrigger. And he said he's walking down there thinking, I'm going to be dead. He comes down there, and I look up at him, and I go, what happened? And he's like, so then I had my eyes started bleeding, ears started bleeding, nose started bleeding, and I started coughing like blood. And so he's like, he's going to choke. I would try to get up, and he's like, no, 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 you need to lay down. And I smacked his hand off of me and started trying to get up, and he said, I said, lay down. And I said, okay. I said, what happened? But then he had to roll me on my side to keep me from like choking.
It's good he was there. So he saw all of this. I mean, carnage. There's no other word that you used to describe it there.
My friends would come by and talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
and like if we had an inside joke or something like that, I would laugh. I mean, obviously, it was, my eyes was swelled shut at one point, and they said I would pull my eyes open to look. But like if I would say funny stuff, I was myself, but I don't remember any of it.
Yeah. Did they say that was from the drugs or from the injury or a combination of both?
They still don't really, there was a fear or a concern there that I would have some brain damage from the swelling on my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I've slowed down some just from being by myself a lot, being around the house, not being as active in everything going on.
Yeah.
But I'm still myself. I still remember everything. I remember everything up to, looking at the neighbor's trees to when I woke up the 8th and 9th day. It kind of runs together, and then I'm good.
When they related to you the extent of your injuries, how was that done, and how did you internalize that? How did that go over?
I think it was mainly, I don't remember actually like a big shock or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I've always just kind of looked at things. I've never worried about a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had different situations before I got hurt, and my goal was just put 100% in, do all you can do, because that's all you can do anyway. And then when that's done, don't worry about the rest because you can't change it anyway. Like if you owed $1,000 one week and you was going to work as hard as you could work,
Mm-hmm.
and you only made 800, that's all you could make, and you worked as hard as you could work.
Yeah.
And then you still had $200 you owed. Pay the 800. The $200 still there. Life's going to go on.
Yeah.
And ain't no need to stress over it. Like, just do all you can.
Yeah. But you were mellow, calm, cool, and collected. You knew what you had to do right from the get-go. I mean, you had that mentality of I'm just going to give my 100%. Is that right?
Yeah. I might have went a little bit long on that, but a lot of times people see me now, and you only get to see a clip, and then we have a few conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, people see the strength and people see the joy.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't always been like that. Like at first there was probably hundreds of days where I would lay in bed and I would cry. And I would tell the Lord, I would say, I don't drink, I don't smoke nothing, I don't do no drugs, I don't take any meds. I was like, Lord, I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated. My life is nothing like what I wanted. I said, Lord, if you don't help me, I don't have no help. And I would be tired or hurt, and I would drift off to sleep, and I'd wake up and I'd do a little workout. And it didn't seem like anything was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of days. I just kept going back to Him. I remember one time I was sitting right here at the table,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been struggling. We'd started selling the stuff. We'd sold the bucket truck.
Yeah.
I had a F-350 dump truck.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sold it. We sold our chipper. It's hard watching that stuff go up the road. Your whole life, your whole business, what you'd worked for,
Yeah.
stuff just kind of moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was struggling with, I felt like I was holding Ashley back. You know, I wanted her to be happy. Um, I wasn't real happy with just sitting around all the time, feeling like everybody's lives was moving on and mine was stuck where it was at.
Yeah.
And I had my pistol out. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to go back and forth every day. I'm going to either make a decision to do it and get it over with,
Yeah.
or I'm going to move forward and forget about it. And so I sat there thinking about it a minute, and I had not thought, this was probably 6, 8 months after I got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And a thought come to my mind, and God said to me, Bryan, you gave me permission to do this. And I said, do what? And obviously all this is going on in my head. But I said, do what? And he took me back to about 6 months before I got hurt. I was in church. And it was a message, one of those surrender your life to the Lord messages.
Yeah.
Turn your life over to him. And I hadn't even thought about it. But I was like, I remembered going to the altar that day, going down to the front, and I remember my prayer. I prayed something like, it's funny because you don't know about my little 93 Geo Metro. I drove back and forth to the prison.
Okay.
So I remember my prayer. I prayed something like, Lord, I love my little Geo Metro. I love my work. I love Ashley. I love my little trailer. Like I love my life. Like it's perfect. Like I love it. But Lord, am I just going to get older and work at the prison and retire and work cutting trees and get all the trees cut and trimmed? And then one day I'm just going to get older and slow down and I'll just die. Is that going to be it? I said, Lord, take my life and use it as you see fit. For your glory. Amen. Boom. Let's go eat lunch. I don't remember. Like I didn't think about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sitting there with my pistol. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And he said, you gave me permission. You said take your life and use it as you see fit. And now you're going to punk out? And I was like, well, not when you put it like that. I can't.
Yeah.
Call me out like that. Like now I got to step up. That was a big turning point for me. From there, the mind games, the mind games that the devil or negativity plays on us, whatever you want to say. I remember one time I was rolling over to put something in the trash, and it was like something in my head said, you know you're never going to walk again, no matter how hard you try. And I was like, yeah, I know. And it was like something else said, no, you don't know. You may walk again. And I was like, whoa. But from there, the mind games and the battles started looking a lot different because quitting wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Now we're moving forward.
All right. So now you're doing, and I know you've told me this before, but you're doing, I would arguably say, an obscene number of pull-ups. You do pull-ups. Run us through your routine, what you're able to do today, what you do today.
So I think I mentioned the week I got hurt, I was mentioned 345 pounds.
Yeah.
Weighed about 206 pounds. I'm doing the 500 push-ups. But like after I come home, I got hurt November 21st. I come home January 1st.
Yeah.
So like I done some working out in the hospital. It just wasn't the same.
Oh, so I didn't know that. You were already working out in the hospital.
Well, just, I mean, they try to get
Part
you
of
ready.
rehab, right? Part of rehab?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, few things. I had a real bad UTI in the hospital until Easter the following year. And I just couldn't, I mean, eating was difficult. I was taking the meds, antibiotics all over. And that's an interesting story there, how I got rid of it. But I had lost a ton of weight.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't worked out much in 4 months, and once I got that cleared up, I started working out with like a 5 or a 10 pound dumbbell.
Mm-hmm.
I would just do
Right
some
away.
curls in my chair, some
Yeah.
over my head, just.
Yeah.
And so that grew from there, doing push-ups on my knees. I've got a couple different machines that I've altered or changed. Like I took a preacher curl machine
Mm-hmm.
and put the seat on the opposite end, and then, or done away with the seat, and then put the barbell on the other end. And
Okay.
I'm able to roll up to it and stay in my chair because I don't have much balance because my core doesn't really
Yeah.
stabilize. And so I can do preacher curls. And then I got another, I don't know if you want to call it a row machine or a back machine,
Yeah.
where I set it up to where I can pull in my wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
and do my reps in it. So we got a little cherry picker, or one of those devices that you can lift a motor out of a car, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a dip machine out of it to where they can lift me up out of my chair. Then I can do my dips straight,
Mm-hmm.
and then they ease me back down. And so that's pretty cool. But I do dips in my chair, put my armrest up as high as they'll go, do dips. So,
All right.
you mentioned the pull-ups. I
Yeah.
left out my favorite. So, cardio is one of the hardest things for me to do. I want to get my heart rate up, keep my heart strong. So, I actually started doing pull-ups when I would try to stand with the walker. I got my shoulders kind of irritated. And a friend of mine in Tennessee, he said, Bryan, he said, believe it or not, he said, people have shoulder trouble and nobody does pull-ups. He said, if you want to fix your shoulders, do pull-ups. And I said, really? So I was like, okay. So I come home, I got my setup going. I think I posted a video on my Facebook about how we made it safer, putting a piece of angle iron up and screwed it in so I don't bump it when I put my hands up.
Yeah. I think that's the video I saw. Maybe. Yeah. That's.
Yeah. And then I got a strap to hold my feet together, so because they'll go crazy if I'm doing pull-ups. So my mom or my dad or Ashley will help me. I'll lift up. They'll move my chair. I'll do reps. I'll lift up, get back in my chair when I'm done. And so I started out doing about 3 sets of 3, and it was a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It was all I could do. And but then I started liking it. I was like, I'm getting my heart rate up. I was like, pull-ups work a ton of muscles. And so I said, I'm going to start doing some more. And I got up to like 25. And then.
Was that 25 all at once or in sets?
No, I mean, I might be at like 3 at a time.
Yeah, but you're moving up.
Oh, yeah. And so 3 months ago or 4 months ago was my record for a month. And I did 3,550 pull-ups that month. Because each day you get stronger mentally also.
Telling you need to go into arm wrestling, Bryan.
Well, I actually decided the month I did the 3,500 pull-ups, I was like, my goal is not to be the pull-up champion of the world. I don't know that they have a pull-up champion of the world for guys in wheelchairs, but in a month anyway, I don't know who's going to sit around for a month doing pull-ups to set the record. But my goal is to walk again.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of standing. I do, you've talked about it. I got a leg curl machine and I'm able to move 25 pounds. I don't have no control, but I get in there and move my legs back and forth.
That's incredible.
Well, it kind of messes with my head because I don't really move them any other time voluntarily.
Yeah.
But I got a leg press machine and I can get on there and strap my knees together and push and get some movements in. So, it's kind of the same perspective. uh, perspective that, you know, it seems pointless, like, because I can't move them any other time. But if you, like, I believe I can move when I'm on the leg curl and on the leg press,
Mm-hmm.
and I just keep doing it till something breaks through.
That's incredible. I'm gonna come see you at some point this summer, and I want you to show me that because that's the most incredible thing. That's even more incredible than the pull-ups there.
I was up to 70 pounds. You know, leg presses and pulley machines are different with their weight.
Yeah.
You know, we know that. So, but I had 70 pounds on the leg press. It's all cable machines and pulleys,
Yeah.
but I was able to move it. You know, I hooked a chain up to where when I push it out, if I can't stop it before it goes all the way and locks my knees,
Yeah.
don't smack my knees down. I put that chain on there to stop it at the right time. So a lot of little,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of little tricks
yeah.
there.
That's one thing. My brain always keeps going with, like, what can I do? What can I change? What can I add to my workout program? What can I, you know, how can I make this better?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so there's been a lot of blunders. You know, you don't see
Yeah.
all of those when I say, okay, we got all this part figured out. There was weeks and days and months where it was like, wait, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
How are we going to figure this out?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of how we met.
It was. It's the same.
Yeah.
I was laying there one night, and I was scrolling on Facebook, and this ad popped up, peg sculptor. And can you do the voice?
Oh.
So, peg sculptor, and so
That
I was
was
like,
my voice on there, yeah, and I put it through a synthesizer. I think I put it through a synthesizer.
yeah. And I was like, hey, I wonder if, you know, I'm
I was
always
going
in,
for a robot voice, and a lot of people commented on that, so I
that's
guess I
right.
succeeded.
I was thinking, I wonder if I could do this. I hurt a lot sitting in my chair. But if I'm doing pull-ups, if I'm working out, if I'm standing, if I'm laying on my side,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about laying on my back, but I'm more comfortable than I am sitting up.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if this pec sculptor would work if I was laying flat on my back.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to send them a message and see what they say. And so you can take the story from there, from your perspective.
Well, I mean, you had directed me to your Facebook page, and then you've had the videos of you doing pull-ups and everything, and then so it's just I couldn't believe that you were because at 180 pounds and paralyzed below thing like that, and such a great attitude, and it was just so impressive to me. I think you should redub those with like the eye of the tiger or something there. I mean, really going after your goal. I mean, wanting to stay fit no matter what. You want to walk again. You want to be healthy. And that was really really awesome, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you come down on that infomercial there. I wanted people to see that. I wanted people to see that you know if you're serious about getting fit, about whatever your fitness goals are, if you want to lose weight, if you want to walk again, not that they're in the same category, but I mean you have to go after your goal, and you have to go after it with the ferocity. The strength is in here. That's where the strength is. And if you can channel that, then you're setting things up for success. And if you can't, then you're setting things up for failure, because everyone's looking for the magic pill, right? Everyone's looking for the easy way to do things, and it takes blood, sweat, and tears. So, I mean, what advice would you have to some of the people out there that are saying, we're overweight, we want to lose weight, or we want to get some more definition, or I want bigger arms, or I want a nicer chest, or this or that? What would your commentary be to them?
I think I read a book like probably 16 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of our outward problems that we see are inside problems.
Mm-hmm.
They just manifest on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was something in that book that I've remembered. Okay, our brains work very funny. Okay, sometimes they don't know what's a lie and what's not. They'll believe anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, um, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they said nobody loves me, and I said really, and they got 2 kids, and both their kids love them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, do you think, your kids love you? And yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, see, I said, that's only 2 people that I picked out, and I'm not that involved in your life. I stay at the trailer all the time.
Yeah.
So there's probably hundreds and hundreds and more people that love you, but for some reason you think nobody loves you, and it's a lie. But there was something in that book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it went something along the lines of your programming creates your belief. Your belief creates your attitudes. Attitudes create feelings. Feelings create actions. And actions create results.
Yeah.
Want different results? Go back to your programming. You've got some wrong information in there somewhere that's causing some wrong actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's pretty accurate. Let me ask you
Everything's
one more. What's that? It cut out there. You were still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Um, One thing that I think is really cool is that you'll try different things. You won't get pigeonholed into, well, I'm a person that only tries these things. I'm a person that only tries these things. And one of the things you've been trying recently, I see it behind you there, is that sauna.
Yeah.
What's that done for you? That open-mindedness and that willingness to try. How has that contributed to helping you and moving forward through everything?
Well, it's a prayer that I've prayed since I got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pray that God would help me not to miss the opportunities that He puts in front of me to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been, I've done a lot. I haven't looked at the norm. Like, if everybody else is doing it, and I keep track of like the Spinal Cord Facebook page, I research all kinds of stuff. I'm reading a book right now called Body Electric.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different techniques with electricity in the body. And so I'm always studying, always researching. But if everybody's doing it and nobody's really getting better,
Yeah.
not having continued success, I'm going to take that information, but I'm going to also look elsewhere,
Yeah. How has this entire experience caused you to slow down and smell the roses? How have you been able to appreciate life at a slower pace and just appreciate all the things along the way that we otherwise would have missed in our hectic day-to-day life? And how has an appreciation of those things helped encourage you and helped you move forward?
I don't know 100%. I think, I think it's gave me the perspective of just do your best each day
Yeah.
and do what you can and be happy doing that. Like from the time I get up till the time I go to bed, I'm trying,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
I
perfect
just
sense.
try. I try to be productive. I look for better things to do. I have my goals each day. Just how much water to drink, how much, what my diet, what my exercise is going to look like, what my reading habits are going to look like.
Yeah.
And then I'm always adding to and refining that. And you say, and to me, there's people out there that you would say their lives are super important and they're super productive, and I want to be like them. And a lot of goal oriented stuff is that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've developed into just be the best you can be,
Yeah.
and then be happy when you do that. Whatever that is, like, because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Goes back to my little philosophy with the $1,000 and the $800. Do what you can, and don't worry about the rest, but be happy with that.
Right.
I go to bed each night really, really satisfied, which tends to build and carry over also.
Well, that's good, Bryan. Well, I'm glad we got to do this. Maybe we'll do another one again in person at some point. But I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us your story, and not being afraid to tell us all those details of your life. And so thank you very much for doing that. It's been a pleasure being your friend.
Thank you so much. Same here.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, Bryan. God bless.
You too.
If you like this content, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Until next time, go ahead and stay healthy and be safe, and happy training.